So I'm actually going to be going dark mostly for a couple days. I got a family thing I got to take care of over the weekend, starting tonight. But a couple things have gone down in the news that I just wanted to touch on, kind of freeform as I'm in the middle of scrambling to get ready to travel. Um, the Andrew Tate stuff and the Epstein list stuff, and to a lesser extent the Trump stuff and the Elon stuff. This is all got a kind of meta arc that runs through all of it. Now, if you don't know about Andrew Tate, um, Google him, but do it very carefully. He is a hero to the really worst parts of the internet. By his own admission on video, in his own words, he abuses women, enjoys raping and beating them. He has been incredibly accused and charged in court and investigated for human trafficking and a whole lot of other things. We know from his lifestyle and the way he conducts himself, he is into all sorts of nefarious income streams. He has been trapped in Romania and has now been cleared to travel, and he's now in the United States. The reason he's in the United States, and people smarter than me have covered this. You can look online, you can look through my own social media on some of this. Jason Hart um, covered this. You can look at his Twitter feed. I retweeted it a little bit earlier. I'll send you some links on this stuff. I'm just doing this kind of free form. But the reason they got approval to do this is because the Trump administration leaned on them. And the reason they leaned on them is there's people in the Trump administration that finds a lot of common cause and or is fans or and is involved in these people. And Jason Hart and a lot of other people have laid that out, and you can find it on your own time. These are very bad people. There's no redeeming quality about them. I won't use his name. I got into a little spat with somebody online today who's like, well, he talks to young men, and if you don't offer an alternative, this is what. No, no, the thug, rapist, women abuser, human trafficker, you need to just be able to look and say, no, this person's bad. And they're like, well, this can't be a litmus test. No, this is a litmus test. If you are okay with this, then you have no moral redeeming quality whatsoever. And I don't really care which politics are. That's the truth. That's how bad these people are. And there's a lot of hypocrisy here because you have the very online people in one hand screaming about the Epstein list, while with the other hand making sure these guys, these Tate brothers, get not only freedom from the investigation over there, but are now back in the States where they can make even more money and grits is fair. And I'm telling you right now, I talked to a couple people on back channel. I was like, don't be surprised if some really high level Trump people end up meeting with him and there's some photo ops. There's already a photo of Andrew Tate and Junior Trump running around in Europe some years ago. So that's already out there. Make of that what you will. These are really bad people. These people that want to champion them are folks that are way, way too online. And they're online because they can go online and feed exactly what they want into their system. This is something we talk about a lot. But what has happened is the culture war stuff and the politics all combine because online the business model makes a lot of money when you just combine everything under the guise of politics and culture. And if you don't do it in some good faith and you're not trying to find some common ground and you're not trying to get things better, you wind up in really dumb conversations online like Andrew Tate is a bastion of masculinity for young men. No, he's not. Go look at his, photos. What happened when they took him to jail and he couldn't get his hormones or steroids or whatever he's taking? That's an accusation. So, but go look at him. When he doesn't get to filter stuff and he doesn't get to do the perfect little things. His own words about how he treats women, how he views women. His own words about how he treats people and looks at people. These are really bad, despicable people. And if your online world leads you culturally or politically to think that stuff's okay, then the problem is you and the problem is the Tates. I bring this up for a couple of reasons, and the Epstein list kind of goes with it because the Epstein list, look, if you thought that was going to come out and have some names on it, then you're the mark. Almost everything that's going to come out on that is probably already available. And the other thing about it is, look how they did it. The White House gave it to a couple of the accounts, and there's now a picture of them on the colonnade outside of the West Wing. They gave it to the absolute worst of the grifter bunch. Internet, they didn't send it to criminal referrals. They didn't give it to major outlets. They gave it to their friends who are the worst of the bad faith grifters so that they could get more clicks of it. It was a business move. It's a PR stuff. And the people that have been all over that, it'll be a fun game on social media. See how much they condemn Andrew Tate and Tate's brothers and all the people that defend him and push this stuff. And then there's the Elon Musk stuff. One thing I do with social media, especially Twitter, the last few years, is I try to, do what we do, where we try to explain things, we try to turn down the noise on it, we try to have adult grown folk talk about things, we don't just react. Elon Musk is a great example of this. There's people that have done this now, and you can go read their work. I'm not going to steal it from them. They do this. Go look at his change in how he's used Twitter since he's bought it. Go look at the people he follows and retweets and comments on. Look at the people. There was some reporting in major publications last few days of how a lot of influencers and the grifters set see social media as a direct line directly to Elon Musk and the Trump administration now because they live completely in that world. Elon Musk is one of the richest people on the planet. He can afford to just hire people to run his social media like a lot of very big name rich folks or famous folks do. If you look at the way he's used his social media, and we're going to get back to Tate in just a minute, Elon Musk chose to get involved with some of the worst faith of the magosphere grifting class. Now, I'm not a psychologist. I know that dude, Elon Musk, is a supremely weird person. Even if you're a fan of his as a human being, he's just weird. Now, people that are, geniuses and stuff, that's not unusual. They usually have, lacking social skills in some set if they're really, really good at certain things. But Elon has absolutely, over the last few years, just completely gone all in on marinating him stuff on all this online stuff. That's why you get the political change of heart. That's why you get the conspiracy theory stuff. That's why you get his worst impulses on things like the AfD in Germany, which is a white nationalist party that is heavily funded and backed by Russian state intelligence. I'm sorry, it just is. I lived in Germany twice. Don't gas me up about what the AfD is and isn't. But watch what Musk did. These same people that are doing this kind of stuff saw him as a target and they gassed him up and they got a hold of his attention and they talked him into buying Twitter when he really didn't want to. And then he tried to back out and the judge made him do it. These folks gassed him up, saw him as a mark, saw him as a way of power and influence, gassed him up, and now you see what you get. And he decided to marinate himself in all of this stuff. The reason I put those three things together, the arc of Elon Musk, the Tate stuff, the Epstein files, there's this curve to so much of our political media, and especially this Trump administration, which has a lot of people that are just very much inundated in this, that this is the world they live in. And that's why I think a lot of this is going to play really bad. I think that's why you're seeing the polling go bad real bad. People don't know who Andrew Tate are unless they're really, really online. Young people do. When he got arrested, I don't talk politics with my family almost ever, especially my kids. Now that they're getting a little older, they're all basically adults. Youngest is 17. I never talked to them about Andrew Tate. I never mentioned it. And I was just curious when he got arrested. A year and a half ago, whatever it was. I actually asked my youngest daughter. I said, "Hey, Andrew Tate got arrested." Didn't say anything else. I'd never discussed it, and she went, "Oh, good." Young people knew all about this, and it wasn't for me, and it wasn't because I do online media. They knew because they'd all been talking amongst themselves because they know these are really bad people, and young people that they deal with at the high school and college level know who this guy is because it's all over social media. Now they're smart enough to figure that out, but the grifters aren't. Now that the reason is because reactionary media gets play. There are some people that are condemning Andrew Tate today, and I'm glad they are, but you can also go back a couple of months or even a few years, and you can see where they sat around and talked glowingly about him. And then there's this narrative of how masculinity and what's real men, and almost all of that is absolute bunk. And anytime somebody starts talking about real men and real masculinity, it should just put up your antenna to go like, alpha males, all this stuff. The first rule of being an alpha male is they've never in their life uttered the phrase alpha male. So the stuff with the Tates and the Epstein list and Elon going off the deep end online, and now he's effectively running rampaging through our government based on what he thought he knew from just the online stuff. This is the reality. I do it all the time. I talk about Twitter not being real life, but to these people it is. But it ain't social media as a whole. It's their little in group. It's the grifters that push this stuff through. So when you see people taking up for the Andrew Tates of the world, Or you see people getting really excited about, the grifter class waving around the Epstein list. Or you see Elon propagating whatever the conspiracy theory du jour that somebody put in his face today is. We need to understand none of that is accidental. It's not a conspiracy theory. Remember, conspiracy theories is what you do when you don't understand how something works. So just figure out how this works. Elon Musk made a deliberate decision a few years ago to really marinate himself in all this online right wing MAGA. Right wing's a bad term. I'm trying really hard not to use it, but it's one of the few terms where people understand what I'm saying. The MAGA griftosphere, that stuff. He just decided to marinate himself in it. And if you marinate yourself in it long enough, it's going to sink in. It's going to change what you are. And it did. You can go back to what Elon Musk was like 5, 10 years ago, and it's very different. And now you have this Andrew Tate situation with the Epstein list, which I think is just the most perfect hypocrisy we've ever seen. You have the same accounts online waving with one hand, we got to see this Epstein list, human trafficking, abused girls. And the exact same people are over here praising the Tates, like, yeah, this is great. We have freed them. And it's a despicable thing that our president's administration got involved in this and put pressure on the government over there to release these people while there was a criminal investigation into them. I'm sorry, it just is. There's no good reason for that to have happened. People now, I don't know that Trump himself was involved in this. I don't know if he even knows who these people are, but when you're the boss and your name's on the top, you get the blame. And again, Jason Hart and a few of our other friends, you can go read their work on this. They will give you the actual officials and how they've had longstanding relationships with the Tates. Point is, and the reason I wanted to talk about this before I kind of disappear for a couple days, social media is just a tool. We can't blame social media for the Andrew Tates of the world. All throughout human history, there's Andrew Tates. We can't blame them for pick whatever political leader you want. If you didn't like Biden or love Biden, if you didn't like Trump or love Trump, what social media and the internet age and smartphones and all this stuff is doing is it's just amplifying the human problems we've had since the first two human beings fought over what they were cooking over the first campfire after they invented fire. None of this stuff is new. It's just amplified. It's louder. And we put it all in this big ball. But what we need to start doing is we don't view politics just partisan wise, and we don't view it just policy wise. Those all have compartments in that. We need to look at our government as a leadership thing. We need to look at what's going on as a big picture, especially when it comes to cultural issues, and not just be reactionary. Oh, this bad thing happened here. Let's make a sweeping cultural decision over this one thing that happened in this one place. We do that way too much. What we really need to do with social media, especially people like Elon Musk and Donald Trump and Joe Biden, and pick whoever else, whoever the next group of politicians is going to be because the age changeover, whether it's JD Vance or Gavin Newsom, pick whoever, whether it's an influencer, an elected official, whoever. When it comes to something controversial like the Tates, like the Epstein's list, like what Elon Musk is doing, like the absolute cover up and lying to us about how bad Joe Biden was, pick whatever you want. Use social media as a tool to believe what people tell us about themselves. When people tell us that they're grifters and they're liars and they're just interested in clickbait and they're only interested in reactionary stuff, we need to believe them. When they take up for somebody like Andrew Tate, who openly talks about abusing women in the most vile, horrible ways, we need to believe him and just go, no, that dude's evil. He has no redeeming quality, and we need to just shout you're evil at him until the whole world understands it and hopefully criminally investigated. That's how you handle that. Social media is a tool. A hammer is a tool. You can use a hammer and go down, Habitat for Humanity, which I've done a couple of those over the years. Go to Habitat for Humanity, take a hammer and build somebody a house. You can also take a hammer and loan it to your neighbor and let him do something good with it. You can also take that hammer and beat him to death with it. And the hammer don't care because it's just a tool. We're acting like social media is this, safe space sandbox where when we go in it, we're not responsible for what we do. It's like this safe space, and it's not. It's a tool. You're using that tool every day. What are you using it for? I'm trying really hard, and I failed. I just did a whole post on my Substack. I kind of screwed up on a, media hit. I wasn't happy with it, so I just put my hand up and said, "Nah, I wasn't any good. Here's where I messed it up, and I'd like to do it again." That's healthy. Accountability goes both ways. I call people to accountable. I got to be accountable. How are you using this social media tool? And when you see people dealing with the Andrew Tates of the world, if they think it's just another headline for the spin and churn of the social media day as it is like today, and they just want to get their clicks and views today, so they just go off whatever they think for today, that's probably somebody you need to go ahead and you block, unfollow, and trim out of your stuff. Because guess what? The next day, they're going to have a new outrage for you, and they're going to have a new way to poke and prod you, and they're just going to keep doing it because you keep feeding the beast, it's going to keep coming back to the door. Try really hard to use this social media tool for good and take it beyond your partisan politics and take it beyond your priors and your own prejudices and your own whatever's in your background, because we all have that. Every one of us has failings as humans. And try to start using, like, I have this amazing tool to examine somebody's life and what they tell me on at least publicly facing. And then I can take that and apply it to what they're saying and find out if they're for real or not, or if we should give them a chance or not, or if their policy should be given a chance or not, or if their politics match their lifestyle. And now we have a tool that is useful, not just a tool that's doing damage to everybody. Andrew Tate is a horrible human being. Anybody that can't just get on camera and say that or send a tweet and say that they're a suspect, trim them off your list. The Epstein list stuff, yeah, there's a lot of really famous people that went through there. There's a reason we haven't seen it yet. Again, not a conspiracy theory. You got to know how things work. Part of him getting the sweetheart deal down in Florida from Republicans, by the way, if y'all really want to get on your high horse, was to keep stuff quiet because that's what powerful rich people do. And Elon running roughshod, I wish he had just kept sending rockets into space and he probably would have went down as one of the great Americans of all time. But I'm afraid we're going to start learning more and more about him because he keeps wanting to shout the worst parts of his human nature at us because he got gassed up on this online stuff. And that's a shame. But he's a grown man. He's one of the most powerful men in the world, and we need to judge him accordingly to his actions. Thankfully, he's putting it all online, so it's real easy to do. Use these social media tools for good. Because if you got a Facebook account, Twitter account, you're watching this, so I know you got a Substack, or if you see this on YouTube or on Twitter or wherever later on, you've got a media platform. Even if it's just your friends and family, and trust me, I've done media where only my friends and family saw it and didn't get any ratings. That's still influential. Adjust accordingly and do good with this great blessing of social media that we've been given. See if we can't make this stuff a little better. And now I'm off to do dadding stuff for the weekend. I wish you all well. Have a wonderful weekend. And try to do something good in there somewhere. Take care, guys.